Hello, everyone. Welcome to this collaborative research opportunity, pricing products for non-contractual customers in a B2B setting, sponsored by Air Liquide. Next slide. For some introductions, my name is Brandon Krakowski. I'm the Research and Education Director at Wharton Customer Analytics. We also have Nicole Wang-Trexler. She's the Associate Director, Data Science and Research. We have Ellie Feit, Senior Fellow, Mary Perk, Executive Director, and Raghu Iyengar, Faculty Co-Director. On the Air Liquide side, we have Chinmaye Joshi, Data Scientist, Bin Yu, International Senior Expert and Data Science Manager, Julie Drapier, Computational and Data Science Group Manager, and Lucy Chen, Data Science. Oh, I think we lost the slides. And we have Lucy Chen. She's the Data Science and Analytics Manager. For our agenda today, we'll learn a bit about our sponsor, Air Liquide. We'll learn about the research opportunities associated with this project. We'll learn about the data associated with the project. We'll go over the research proposal and application process, and we'll have a Q&A. Just a few operational notes. This webinar is intended for researchers and scholars. It should not be published or presented without permission from WCA. Questions about our research programs or for press inquiries, email us at wca-research@wharton.upenn.edu. To work with WCA and the data sponsor, research teams must submit a proposal for approval. More details throughout this presentation. If you have any questions during the presentation, click the chat button at the bottom of your screen, type your question. We'll respond to questions live or via email after this webinar. To provide a bit of background about Air Liquide and the business context for this project, I'm going to hand it over to Julie Drapier. She's the Computational and Data Science Group Manager.
Julie, you're muted.
Sorry about that. So good morning, everyone. My name is Julie Drapier. I'm going to introduce you very quickly the Air Liquide Group. We are a gas company. We produce molecules such as oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen. And those gas molecules are used by 3.7 million customers and patients. Our customers are very diverse. They are from the energy sector, the chemical sector, the food and pharma, and our patients are from the healthcare sector. We are a very global company with a strong local activity. We have 67 employees spanning around 80 countries. We have almost 22 billion revenues, and we've been around for almost 100 years. Something very important to know about the group is really innovation is at the heart of our strategy and very much at the heart of our competitiveness. We have 5 innovation campus, but also we have businesses in innovative technologies, just such as the global markets and technology, the deep tech, the hydrogen energy, the digital, the IT, and even incubators, accelerators, and also venture capital activity. Just in 2019, we filed like 330 patents. I think we have around like 11,000 patents, and we have more than 4,000 employees contributing to innovation. As part of this innovation, of course, is the scientific excellence of our group. That is, as I said, on 5 campuses, R&D campuses. But what's very also critical to our innovation is, and that's why we're here today, is really the open innovation. So we partner with labs, we partner with startups, we partner with industrial players, we partner with customers. I think we have around 200 partnerships to really improve our innovation through these open innovation efforts. And now I would hand it over to Chinmaye to present to you the problem to solve.
Thanks, Julie. My name is Chinmayi, and I work as a data scientist in Julie's group. Like Julie was saying, open innovation is a key component of Air Liquide's strategy. And the reason I sort of focus on that a little more is, unlike maybe some of the other problems that other companies that come to Wharton with problems, we have a more sort of open-ended question, and we're very open to sort of creative solutions to our problems. And with that being said, of course, within the realm of reason, but with that being said, the problem that we're focusing on is we want to understand how to price products for our non-contractual B2B customers. So the way Air Liquide's core business is a B2B business, and what we want to find with this through this challenge is an optimal pricing strategy. And we're open to different notions of optimality, but at its core, we want to be sure that we're not leaving too much money on the table, and we don't want to obviously overcharge our customers. And so coming to how this problem statement precipitated, our pricing today, what we see in our data is substantial variance in the way we price the same product. So one product could be sold at somewhere between 60 pounds to about 700 pounds. This is an extremely large variance. And this leads us to believe that there's an idea of optimal pricing, and we want to sort of get closer to that. And obviously there's one of two things happening, and we suspect that we're leaving more money on the table, because what we see is that the average price that we charge for each of these products is closer to the floor. And it seems to us through experience and other things that we may be leaving way too much money on the table. This is also given the competitive landscape in the region where this data is based. There's only one other large competitor. We think that we should have a larger negotiating power, and we have a reasonably large market share. And of course, it's hard to find our competitors' pricing, but that's the reason why we think that this is a problem of interest. Next slide, please. So what we're doing, efforts within Air Liquide today are focused on being able to, essentially build models that copy what the account executives do today. So we're trying to imitate what our pricing process is as of today. Now we have two options in the way we approach this. Either we say that, this model is good enough because, Air Liquide is a business that does well, pretty well. And, we're okay with this pricing model. And we have an algorithm that's able to price the way account executives price it today. However, given that there's evidence that this is not optimal, we want to overlay added information to build a dynamic pricing model. So what I'd like to do now is sort of really give an idea of who Air Liquide's customers are. Air Liquide does business with a lot of different industries, and what I'd like to, this slide essentially demonstrates that, there isn't one type of customer. That it's a variety. So Air Liquide sells a variety of gases to people like pubs and shipyards and event organizers. Pubs use carbon dioxide in the beer tap. Shipyards use other gases for welding. Event organizers use helium in their balloons. So really, the reason there's complexity in this problem is just the fact that there's so much difference in the kinds of customers that we deal with. And Yeah, essentially they vary in size. They vary in what they use our product for. And therefore they're very, very non-homogeneous. So yeah, I'll hand it over to Brandon to sort of dig deeper into the research opportunity here.
Great. Thanks so much, Chinmay and Julie. So in terms of the specific research opportunities available for this project, Air Liquide is interested in developing innovative approaches to dynamically pricing products for different types of B2B customers. Customers in this setting are non-contractual, vary widely in their size, and make both recurring and non-recurring orders. Air Liquide is open to any research that will help them optimize their sales and pricing strategy and improve their relationships with their non-contractual customers. And the specific issues that Air Liquide is interested in include studying the behavior of non-contractual customers to optimize sales and pricing, identifying customers' willingness to pay, identifying the best structure and approach to dynamic pricing for different types of customers, and identifying strategies for B2B value-based pricing in the long term. As a reminder, if you have any questions, click the chat button at the bottom of your screen, type your question. We'll go ahead and try to respond to some questions right now. I see a number of them have come in. Let's see if we can find a question. This was asked a few minutes ago, earlier, Chinmay, when you were talking about overrides. Can you just explain briefly what an override is and how that works?
Sure. So, you know, when there's a certain price picked out from a price list, one of the things that an account executive has the ability to do is override that price and give a discount on the price.
Great. And in terms of seasonality or time of purchase, is it a factor for pricing?
Not for pricing, but there seems to be some amount of seasonality. But that's something that we would sort of we would like for the team to sort of dig into.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's get into the data. Before we get into the details of the data, Chinmay, I'll hand it back over to you if you want to provide a bit of background on the process for how transactions and quotes are actually tracked in the data.
Right. So what I'll describe now is the process that, you know, when the customer first comes to us. So they can either sort of, you know, give us a call, or we have stores and they can walk into a store. At which point the customer either asks for a quote, or essentially when they walk into a store, they want to buy the product. So it is technically a quote. And then we give them a price. They either accept or reject that. They can renegotiate that. This renegotiation is not something that's captured categorically in the data, but there could be ways to sort of determine that. Further on, the quote is then converted into a transaction, in which case it goes into the transaction. You'll see that reflected in the transactions data set. With the caveat that, you know, there isn't a way to link one-to-one the quote and the transaction. And then sometimes what happens also is that as part of this negotiation, what you know, the customer says, okay, you know what, this is not a price that I like, and then the account executive AE here will say that, okay, you know what, this is a price that this is a discounted price that I can give you, and it is recorded in the form of a price list. And then the order is entered into our system, and at which point work happens at the back end to start to be able to ship this order to a specific party site for an account. So one account can have multiple party sites.
Great. So in terms of the details of the data, researchers will be provided with 3 years of data, including product transactions from invoices and price quotes or offers from the products sold. Transactions from invoices include individual line items from the invoices, and price quotes or offers include the individual price quotes for the products. So the transaction data includes about 110 million transactions from individual invoices over 3 years from January 2014 to December 2016. Transactions only include line items that are cylinders, and they include both recurring and non-recurring orders. Some other stats, the data includes about 797,000 unique invoices, about 66,000 unique accounts, which are the customers, and about 420 unique products. Some of the important attributes include the account number, invoice number, the products and their hierarchies, the date of the transaction, region, territory, the price for the product, the quantity sold, total price paid, and the ID for the sales rep who is responsible for the account. Here we can see a snapshot of the transactions data. Each row represents a single line item for an invoice. The highlighted rows are line items for the same invoice. You can see the account number, the product ID, invoice number, date of the transaction. And you can see the total price paid, quantity sold, price for the product, the territory, and the sales rep ID. This shows the distribution of transactions and net invoice amount over the 3-year period. On the left, we see the number of transactions, and on the right, we can see the total sales for those transactions. This shows the distribution of product sales for 2 different accounts over the 3-year period. So on the left, we can see the quarterly sales of 43 unique products purchased by account 4185. And on the right, we can see the quarterly sales of 19 unique products purchased by account 987. In terms of the price quotes and offers data, it includes about 918,000 price quotes and offers over 3.5 years from January 2013 to May of 2017. About 48% of the price quotes were accepted, the rest were rejected, and about 3% of the quotes that were accepted can be joined to the corresponding invoice transactions. Some other stats, this includes about 22,000 unique accounts in the quotes data. Some important attributes include the account number, date of the price quote, price quoted for the product, quantity quoted, the total price quoted for the invoice, and the quote status, meaning accepted, draft, inactive, or the order submitted, the product quoted, and the sales rep who created the quote. Here's a snapshot of the quotes data. Each row represents a price quote for a product. The highlighted row is a submitted quote for product 31946. You can see the account ID, the date the price was quoted, the quantity, the total price quoted for the invoice, and then the price quoted for the product, quote status, product ID, and the sales rep who quoted the price. This shows the price variability for a sample of products. The vertical points represent different price quotes for the same product. You could see obviously a large amount of price variability for particular products in the product set. And then quotes with a status of accepted or order submitted are considered accepted quotes. This shows the distribution of quotes over the 3.5-year period. Again, quotes with a status of accepted or order submitted are considered accepted quotes. Great. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and click the chat button and type your question. We have a bunch of questions that have come in. Let's go through some of these. How are the salespeople compensated? Salespeople for these transactions?
I'll let Lucy answer that.
Sure. Salesperson are paid on the fixed and the variable part. So for the variable part, it's related to the margin they're making for the company. It's not related to sales, it's related to margin. And they're compensated based on the certain criteria that they met. And also a second part that they paid is based on the contract that they have signed with the customers.
Okay, thank you. Can you describe the competition? You mentioned earlier saying, obviously there isn't a lot of competition, but can you describe the competition? And also, is there any bidding involved?
So there's no bidding involved. We have one other, the industrial gas, landscape is pretty limited. We have one other large competitor, and they have stores, may or may not be as geographically distributed as us. Yeah.
Great. And in terms of the current pricing model, what are the other factors aside from varied industry customers and type of product that is a factor in the decision making for pricing?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So what are the different factors that are considered now in the current pricing model when determining a price?
Well, obviously cost plus pricing type of thing. So the margins that we'd like to see on those products.
Okay. Do you charge for delivery separately?
Yeah, but I'll let Lucy describe exactly how.
Yes, there is a delivery charge for each of the orders that delivered to our customer. It's charged based on the trips and the cylinders that they ordered. There is a fixed and a variable portion.
Okay. Here's a question about inventory data. So will there be any inventory data included with the data set? And more generally, will there be other data or metrics included with the provided data set?
Yeah, so there will be other data, not inventory data, but there will be the data that we have will capture the notion of back orders and therefore inventory data. And so this data will essentially give an idea of the quality of service that these customers have gotten. And part of that means, whether those orders were delivered on time, whether, whether we had the product at the time that they wanted it, and so on and so forth.
Okay. So can you talk about, so you're interested in pricing strategies. Are you also interested in your relationships with your non-contractual customers and moving them into contractual relationships?
Not necessarily, because the type of customer that we're looking at in this data set is not the kind of customer that wants to have that contractual relationship.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. We'll take one more question here. So do you have more detailed data about the customers? So what do we know about the customers in the data? How large, where they're located, industry, things like that?
So we know what what industry they belong to. Of course, it'll be encoded. It won't be made public. But there's what industry they belong to. There's also a notion of how much business we get from them, and therefore the size of this customer. Mm-hmm. It may or may not necessarily reflect their actual size, but their relative importance to Air Liquide as a customer.
Okay. Actually, we'll take one more question. So in terms of production cost, is that available in the data? Production cost for each product?
No.
Okay. All right. So let's move into the next section. I'll talk about the proposal process for this project. So when applying, researchers will apply and submit a proposal online, submit in PDF format, no more than 2,000 words, and include the following information. So title, author's name, title, affiliation, email address, author bios, an abstract for the proposal, any summary information, meaning a single slide that visually summarizes the team and the project. And then an introduction describing the expected contributions, covering both the academic and practical aspects, a detailed project proposal, so supporting detail that will help us assess the feasibility of your approach and its compatibility with the existing data, any additional data needs or customizations that you may be interested in, so a list of the data required for your research, any language or tools that you propose to use, how it fits the project. Submit your proposal here at this link, also available directly on our website, no later than Friday, January 15th next year. In addition to your proposal, we're going to organize some initial virtual pre-selection meetings with Air Liquide to discuss the opportunity and to determine if there's a good match with the team in terms of interests. Any questions at all, please contact us at wca-research@wharton.upenn.edu. Up to 2 research teams will be selected for these opportunities. Teams will be granted direct access to the data. Teams will meet regularly, would be the expectation, with the sponsor, providing opportunities to share knowledge, clarify the context, and refine the data if needed. And then, we'll have up to 2 teams. While they'll be working on the same kind of pricing model, they'll be methodologically distinct. And in terms of the timeline, in 2 to 4 weeks, research proposals will be due. Within 6 weeks, the research teams will be selected for the initial meetings with Air Liquide. About 9 weeks from today, we'll have the research teams will be selected and notified, and then we'll kick off the projects in about 12 weeks. In terms of the evaluation process, so they'll be evaluated based on the novel approach to the project problems, academic contribution, and potential to improve the research sponsor's pricing strategy, willingness to commit to a highly collaborative project, including regular interactions, and willingness to share code and findings with the company, and of course, a history of academic achievement. Other questions? When will you get access to the data? When selected to be a collaborator on the project, you'll be granted direct access to the data. And in terms of additional data, you can outline that in your proposal. We can't guarantee additional data, but that can be discussed directly with Air Liquide upon selection for the process. There'll be a proposal review committee. Research teams will be jointly reviewed by academics and company representatives. So we'll have the Wharton Customer Analytics team that will be reviewing these proposals. Also, the team at Air Liquide will be reviewing the proposals, and then we'll have some external academic reviewers that will be reviewing the proposals. They have pricing expertise, so we'll have them review, and then we'll determine the best research teams for the project. We'll have other opportunities for researchers in the future, a couple of projects on the horizon, predicting exam outcomes based on test taker video cues for a self-regulatory organization, and understanding the customer experience and customer needs for a multinational technology company. And then you can also find us at the links at the bottom in terms of our research papers that have come out of all of these research projects, email updates, and then just sign up for general updates. Again, if you have any questions, email us at wca-research@wharton.upenn.edu. We have a bunch of other questions that have come in, so let's go ahead and go through these. Can you, what type of information do you have on the salespersons that can be matched to the sales rep ID? So the salesperson that's responsible for the actual sale for the transaction, not the quote. Is there additional information about the salespeople?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Well, other than, you know, what other customers they handle. Which,
right.
Yeah.
So we just have an ID that represents each salesperson, and then that's a different salesperson than the salesperson who quoted for the product. It's possible. It's possible. Is there any relationship between the two?
Not necessarily.
Okay. One more administrative and one more
Yeah, that can happen.
Account manager. Okay. Are there any geography restrictions for team members? The answer to that question is no. Academics can be anywhere in the world who are submitting a proposal for this project. And then, yes, we will select up to 2 teams for this project. Let's see, any other questions that have come in? What about in terms of the different channels for the transactions? Are they important in terms of your current pricing model or what you would envision for the pricing strategy? Is the channel information in the data?
So there is channel information in terms of where the delivery or the exchange of product happens. So either did they pick that product up in the store or was it delivered to them? That's information that's available, but not how it came in.
Okay. Do you have any product MSRP history available to calculate discounts or overrides? Is there any discount information available?
It can be inferred from what prices are being charged.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Again, if you do have a question, just go ahead and send it in chat. Any questions that we don't get to live, we'll respond to via email after this webinar.
Also, I think what is interesting about the quotes data is the willingness to pay of customers is pretty evident from that data set. So that's always hard to get, but that's kind of meaty data.
Can you talk a little bit about the difficulty in matching the quotes data to the actual transactions data? So why is that a difficult process currently? So you have these quotes, some are considered accepted, and some of those can actually be matched to transactions, but a very small percentage. So why is that such a difficult process? Are these coming from different systems?
So it is coming from different systems, and we don't actually have, so not all the quotes actually have an order number associated, and that order number is incorrect in the system. The way to match these quotes with the transactions is so when the quote is given out and the order is recorded in the system the same day, these are easy to match because we have date and the price and who put that price out, which customer. So that's easy to match. But what can also happen is a customer comes in and gets a quote, and they can buy the product. Maybe today I get a quote, but I can place an order for that quote. I can avail of that quote 4 months later. And so being able to match that is the hard part. It can be done, assuming a window, but it's a little complicated, and yeah.
And so drilling down a little bit more into those different quote types. So we have, drafts, we have orders submitted, we have accepted quotes. What's the kind of relationship between these different statuses? So why are accepted quotes and orders submitted quotes kind of considered the same? Why do you determine, is the process different for the two? Are they entered differently in the system?
No, they aren't. It's just, salespeople are busy people, and, shifting up an order from accepted to an order submitted it is not on their list of priorities. And so that's why you can sometimes see that not every quote that was accepted is turned into an order placed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you just talk a little bit about kind of how you envision the collaboration with the individual teams for this project? So this will be over the course of several months, 6 to 9 months. Do you envision kind of weekly meetings with researchers? Do you envision meeting with teams separately? are you going to share code with the teams directly? What does your current kind of process look like in terms of writing code and doing analysis, and how much do you intend to collaborate with the teams directly?
So we definitely intend to sort of help the teams out when they need us in terms of providing context. But I'll let Ben sort of speak a little more to how we like to do it, because this is our second challenge. So I think he can speak to that.
Okay, so Brandon, this is being you from Air Liquide. Last time we really work closely with the winning team in terms meetings, regular meetings. It's up to the winning team and Air Liquide to decide how often we will meet. And we also discuss the solutions. So whenever the winning team need more data, when feasible, we will provide more data to the winning team. So together we want to develop the best solution for the problem.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the background. That's helpful. Sorry, kind of jumping around here. I have another question about the data. Is there a reason why the data is specifically focused on cylinders only? This is something I don't know if we've talked about in the past when we were kind of preparing for this project. Is that just a majority of the business in that area, or there's a specific pricing challenges with cylinders?
It just happens to be an area of interest for Air Liquide.
Okay. Another question that came in, again, sorry, we're jumping around here. There's no limitation in terms of the size of team that can submit a proposal for this project. Typically, it would be 3 to 6 folks on a team, something like that, but there's no limitation. And yeah, we're only going to select up to 2 teams, depending on the number of proposals and the quality of the approaches to the pricing problem. We're going to select up to 2 teams, and the reason for that is there's going to be a close collaboration with Air Liquide. Any other questions? Feel free to send them in chat if you have any follow-up questions or any questions we didn't get to. My apologies. We'll go ahead and email you after this webinar with answers to your questions. And then if you want to reach out to us at any point today or any point before the proposals are due, go ahead and do that at wca-research@wharton.upenn.edu. Thanks so much to the folks at Air Liquide for sponsoring this project and this amazing data set. Thank you to the researchers who have registered and logged into today's webinar. We look forward to reading your proposals. And I think we'll wrap up. Again, if you do have any questions, go ahead and continue to send them via chat and we'll respond, or email us today or anytime after today over the next couple of weeks. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day, great holiday. We'll just let chats come in if you have any questions. Thank you, everyone.